It is time for another mailbag here on NFL Daily. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. This mailbag segment comes from our live show where you can super chat or you can use the hashtag NFL to get on the said live show. So let's go ahead and get started right away with a $5 super chat from John. John writes, I'd pass on Lamar. He can't stay healthy, and Fields is a better runner. Yeah, I said it. Hashtag QB1, let's ride. I got to tell you, I like both quarterbacks. I'm not going to sit here and slander either one. I think Chicago, what's best for them is to not draft a quarterback, to stay with Justin Fields, and to get a guy like Jalen Carter or Will Anderson, something like that, potentially trade back and go from there, collect on multiple picks. The Ravens with Lamar Jackson, I think that they should extend him and build with him long term. I think both guys have bright futures in this league, John. Thanks for the super chat. $10 super chat coming in. This is a lengthy one. This is a Steelers mock draft. Brian Branch in the first round, Jordan Addison in the second round with the 32nd pick. Technically second round. Traditionally, that's been a first-round pick. Darnell Wright in the second round, as well as Drew Sanders. Benton and Wright as well. I got to tell you, if you're the Steelers, I think you're feeling pretty good. Luke Schoonemaker, the tight end from Michigan, with the final pick. Didn't quite make the graphic there. There was a lengthy one there. But you know what? I like that mock draft for Pittsburgh. I don't see Jordan Addison falling to 32, but if he does, like your mock draft, if it worked out in a simulator like that, by all means, I'd give that an A. And thanks for the super chat there. Not Webb's World 1. Go Steelers. Carson says, should the Giants and Raiders give long-term extensions to Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs? No, they simply should not give long-term extensions. I'm not opposed to franchise tagging either player, but let's take a moment and learn from the history. What do we know in the NFL? And it's do not give second contracts to running backs. In today's NFL, when has that ever worked? It never does. It is a disaster when you try to pay a running back. When you get towards the latter half of that deal, the second part of it, you tend to regret it. This is not a knock on Josh Jacobs or Saquon Barkley, but we've seen both guys already deal with injuries. To me, no. I'm not giving long-term contracts. I'll franchise tag either one of them, but I'm not doing what it takes to keep them for a long time. Which running back would you rather have right now, Saquon or Josh Jacobs? Both have been pretty dang good. I like Saquon a little bit more, but they're both terrific football players. Which running back would you rather have on your team, Saquon Barkley or Josh Jacobs? Type SB for Saquon Barkley. Type JJ for Josh Jacobs. Let me know. Mariners fan. Mariners made the playoffs this year. They had a nice season. Who would the Seahawks draft with their 2 first-round picks? So at 5 overall, I think you're hoping that Jalen Carter or Will Anderson are still around. If not, probably Tyree Wilson. And then with the 20th selection, it's really up in the air. I've seen the possibility of them trading that 20th pick to go get Josh Allen from the Jags. I think that's the idea I like the most, quite frankly, for Seattle there at 20. You also have Brian Breesy as well from Clemson as a possibility. To me, that's kind of what I'm looking at potentially for Seattle with their 2 picks. We'll see what they do. Jeremy writes, if my Saints start slow due to offense again, does Dennis Allen survive the season? No. No, he does not. Dennis Allen has done a bad job there in New Orleans. Granted, the roster has not been doing him any favors by any means, but Dennis Allen struggled with the Raiders. He's not doing a great job with the New Orleans Saints. I think if you talk about coaches entering the hot seat in 2023, Dennis Allen's seat is as warm as anybody entering this year that there is out there, quite frankly. If they start off slow, he's gone. We are offering shirts for all of you NFL fans, whether you're a Raider fan, a Chiefs fan, a number of teams. We got you covered with this shirt combo. Long sleeve, short sleeve, either one, you are going to be good to go at chatsports.com/NFL combo to get yours today. You are going to be styling and profiling, and whether you want to dress a little bit warm with the long sleeve or you want to have a nice T-shirt for the summertime, whatever, you're going to be representing your favorite team and looking pretty snazzy at the same time. Get yours today while supplies last. This sale is only for a limited time. Chatsports.com/NFL Combo to get yours today. That's chatsports.com/NFL Combo. Bobby wants to know, what's the latest on OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr.? So remember when he went on like that recruiting tour of some sorts in November and December, and then they looked at the medicals on him, and every team was like, you're not quite ready, OBJ. That's not going to work. And so he got passed over and ultimately didn't get to play this season. Well, all signs point to that OBJ should be healthy and 100% all ready to go and up to speed for training camps and all those offseason activities. Well, at this time, we don't have an idea of the favorite team-wise. I think you kind of have to set the reset button, comparably speaking, to when you were talking about this deal a couple months ago for an in-season deal. What we do know is that he looks like he's going to be fine health-wise. We don't know destination-wise, but you will see OBJ play for an NFL team in 2023. We'll see who it is. Where will OBJ sign? Here's your chance to chime in and tell us in the comments section. Give us a team that you think OBJ will play for in 2023. Tell us in the comment section below. Carter writes, should the Dolphins draft Tyjae Spears? Potentially, yeah. I mean, I'm open to the possibility. You look at the Dolphins team this past year. They got to the first round of the playoffs, ultimately lost to the Buffalo Bills in a very close game, and they did so with Skylar Thompson as their quarterback in that playoff game. So if you get Tua back, if Tua can stay healthy, this team could potentially take that next step and compete in the AFC. Maybe a guy like Spears helps your cause and improves things. We'll see, but I'm open to it. We'll see, Carter. GM Evan writes, I think Baker Mayfield will go to the Commanders and battle Sam Howell. Maybe under Bieniemy could rejuvenate his career. I would argue, Evan, that Baker already rejuvenated his career based on what he did with the Rams this past season, coming in with Stafford down and elevating that offense the way that he played. I think he's already taken care of that part. As far as competing with Sam Howell, it sounds like that the Commanders are all in on giving the keys to Sam Howell and seeing if he can figure out. Remember, before his final year at North Carolina, he was projected to be a first-round talent, one of the first quarterbacks taken. Ultimately, he didn't have a good final year there with the Tar Heels. With that said, I think Sam is going to be their guy. But Baker, I think what's best for Baker, this might not be a popular thing to say, but I think it's the right thing. What's best for Baker, I think, is to go back to L.A., stay with Sean McVay, where you've learned that system, where you're comfortable, and whether you're starting, if Stafford's healthy or not, or you're backing up Stafford, whatever it may be, you got a good situation. And to continue to work on those things, to prove yourself there, I think Baker's best off staying with the Rams, whether he's the starter or the backup, either way. You might be watching this on demand and saying to yourself, how do I get involved in these mailbags? This is a lot of fun. I wish I could send in a question to Tyler and see what he had to say about it. Well, I have news for you. You can do that. If you subscribe, then you would never miss our live shows. We're on at least once a week, sometimes twice, and we're taking your questions. We're answering them in real time. We're using the hashtag NFL. We're super chatting. We're doing it all here on NFL Daily. This is the place to be for NFL fans. So subscribe now, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. Be a part of our next mailbag. I don't bite, I promise. Next question, who are some surprise cut candidates? That's a very interesting question. Who are some surprise cut candidates? Well, I would look to, for example, when it comes to cut candidates, think about, let's start with Chuck Clark with the Baltimore Ravens. Chuck Clark's a very good player. He's a good safety, but he's not a part of the future of the Ravens, right? He's the guy that they'll try to shop and trade, but if they don't find a good trade partner, then they're ultimately going to end up cutting. And he could be a starter for somewhere, for a number of teams at safety, but there's just not room for him with Marcus Williams and Kyle Hamilton, those other guys there. So he's one that comes to mind right away as a potential cut candidate. One name, I think it might be a stretch, but you asked for surprise, okay? Jamal Adams. It doesn't really work with their contract situation in Seattle necessarily. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to cut him. But since you asked for surprise, I think there could be some frustrations in Seattle with Jamal Adams where they could end up just severing ties and moving on because Ryan Neal was, according to Pro Football Focus, the highest graded safety in the league. And I think you'll want Ryan Neal being your starting safety next to Quandre Diggs next year. Michael writes, who's your favorite wide receiver in the draft? So the three wide receivers I like, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Quentin Johnston, and Jordan Addison. I like all three of those receivers, and I think they're all pretty close to each other. I like JSN a little bit more than I do the other three, but not by a lot. I think you can't go wrong with any of those three. If you end up with any of those three, you got to be feeling pretty good about yourself that you got one of those guys. I think you're in good shape either way as far as that goes. But JSN, a do-it-all guy, he had a really good career at Ohio State. I know that he didn't play much his last year there, but this is a guy that's a deep threat at possession receiver. He's got speed, good hands, and everything you could ask for. People are going to point to that hamstring injury. Honestly, it's a hammy. I'm not worried about that. JSN's my guy. Michael writes, where will Bobby Wagner end up? So Bobby Wagner is going to be a free agent with what's going on with the Rams and letting him go and all that situation. I don't think a reunion in Seattle is going to happen. I think he wants to be on a contending team to compete for Super Bowls. And I think the Kansas City Chiefs come to mind, the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, these elite teams in particular is who I think of when I think of Bobby Wagner. I think you're going to talk about him joining one of those top teams potentially, maybe the Buffalo Bills. Who knows? You know, one of those type of teams I think is going to be in the market for Bobby Wagner when it's all said and done. Where will Bobby Wagner sign? It's your chance to chime in. Tell us in the comment section. Tell me who you think Bobby Wagner will play for in 2023. Tell us in the comment section below. Last question from Evan. Is Stefanski on the hot seat? That would be Kevin Stefanski, the Browns head coach. Absolutely he is. The Browns were maybe the most underwhelming team in the NFL this past year, the most disappointing team. Even when they added Deshaun Watson, they didn't get that much better compared to what they were with Jacoby Brissett this past season, and that falls on the head coach. That's going to be the guy that you look to. Why didn't it work out? If they don't make the playoffs, if they don't improve with all that money they're paying Deshaun Watson, he's going to be the first guy they point to and they blame. Yes, I think that Kevin Stefanski is on the hot seat as the year begins. If they don't get rolling, he'll be gone by midseason.